Well, hello, my remaining YouTube friend. Shame on you, YouTube. Shame on you for changing your algorithm and not letting a lot of people accessing my video easily because they will miss the chance to see that marvelous knife here, absolutely unique piece of cutlery, and that will more than likely enter the knife the knife history. But for those of you remaining people that are following me and have easy access to my video, luckily you will be able to appreciate that marvelous knife that I received at the past gathering from Master David Santiago. And I just do the video now for a simple reason, is that there was some problem. You know that mammoth is living material, very organic, and sometimes it can have some issues. So it had to be taken care of by David. And I literally just received the knife probably a couple of days ago, something like that. So hence the delayed video, but I didn't have actually the chance to do it earlier. So what do we have here? We have a small genius, David Santiago, who's in these early 30s, I would say. He's a genius. I mean, he's definitely an OCD. He started making knives, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. And he's a master grinder. He's starting, I think, with bally songs. And he became really well known for his grinds and the quality of his bally song. Then he started very, very early, because as a matter of fact, I was probably one of the very first to get one of his folder, when I say folder, a frame lock. And it was during the gathering, not this one, G7. G7 for sure. He came with his first batch of folders, and I had the chance to be one of the very first to get his frame lock. And right off the bat, it was the first batch. The action was sublime. The grind, as usual, was excellent. It was fantastic. And I kind of started a fine relation with David and Kristen, his companion. I don't know if it's his wife. I think it's his wife. I don't know. Whatever. They're the kindest people. I mean, for those of you who know David and Kristen, you know that they're the kindest people out there. Absolutely adore them as a human being. And eventually, I had the chance to get with David another spot on his books to get a special piece. So I wanted, of course, a liner lock. At that time, he didn't even make liner locks. He started making liner locks, I don't know, just after G7. And I really wanted to have a liner lock, to complete the collection. So we went for a project that evolved during the time. For the life of me, I don't know. No, it's just nothing special. Yeah, it evolved. First, I wanted something special for the blade, but the first thing that I wanted was mammoth. Okay, so mammoth, it never, ever worked with mammoth, but that was the thing that I wanted. Then I wanted some mokutai, but eventually I changed for zirconium, which I think is it's the best option that I could find. We'll talk about that, but I think that's a perfect match. I mean, mammoth has to, it has to take the full space here. If you put some mokutai, you're gonna have some crazy colors, and it's gonna be a mess. A lot of people do that, but I think it's too much. This is really classy like that. Then the blade. I had to thank for that Brian Dunn. Whom you may know. I don't know if he's got a YouTube channel, but for those of you who have Instagram, you may know him. He got from David a fixed blade with that very, very particular senmai. And the minute I saw it, I asked David to do that on a folder. He never did it again on a folder. He did it only on fixed blade. But I think that it's too much of a pain in the ass for him to work with that very particular senmai. We're going to talk about that. And this is going to be actually one of the two knives that he made with that senmai. And in my opinion, I've seen the other one. The only one that he really knocked it out of the park with the finish. The other one was lesser beautiful than this one, and he will never do it again. So this is a very particular knife, and that's why I'm really sorry for those of you who won't have the chance to see it, because it has a lot of things that are really unique. Well, first of all, David doesn't do many knives during the years, and liner locks he hasn't made a lot and won't do a lot even in the future. But so having a knife from David already, it's something really special. Liner lock even more. Mammoth first and last. That's from the word of David himself. This is gonna be the first and the last. I mean, he spent months to get. Look at that, this contour, this perfection we're gonna see. Of course, the perfect finish that he got on this Mammoth was truly hard for him to get absolutely, I mean, pristine like that. And even after he finished it, he had to redo it in order to make it exactly how he wanted it to be. So that's the first and last piece of Mammoth that you're going to see on David knife. Then the Senmai, as I told you, it's not unique per se, because he did it on one or two maybe fixed blade and two folder. But like I said, this is going to be, it's almost unique because on the folder it's 1 on 2. The only one that is perfectly executed, actually, absolutely perfectly executed, and there will never be other one. So this knife is absolutely unique by all consideration, absolutely unique. So we have this folder. As of now, David haven't done any other design for his folder, so it's the regular one. He changed the design of its clip, which I think is way better than the previous clip. Love this one, absolutely adore it. So now let's do not a review, but just appreciate the beautifulness. I mean, beautifulness, the awesomeness of those pieces of Mammoth. Check the contouring that you have. Look, I mean, look how thin it is here, how wide it is here, radiused here. I mean, the work of contouring, I can only imagine on an organic leading material as Mammoth, how difficult. Look at that. Look how thin it is here. I mean, there's a contour here, there's a contour here, there's, I mean, extreme contouring, and check how wonderful it's made, how pristine it is. Absolutely phenomenal. A word about, oh yeah, I don't know how I forgot to mention that. Those pieces of Mammoth, they have a special meaning for me also, because basically those are pieces that has been chosen by master and my dear friend Bob Terzwola. David has absolutely no history. I mean, he has no experience with Mammoth, so he didn't even know how to choose Mammoth. And I just contact Bob, and he was kind enough to choose me those beautiful, you know what I like. I mean, you know, I like those Mammoth with some shades of green like that and blue. And he found those beautiful set of Mammoth that he sent to David. So yeah, as if it was not enough for his singularity, this knife has a touch of Terzwola also in it, which is to me, makes it, I mean, the definition of a heirloom. This knife will stay, I mean, I'll be buried with that knife for sure. Oh man, the only thing that I would have done differently, I haven't discussed about that with David, and that's unfortunate, is the backspacer. I mean, it's neat, okay, but I guess it's G10, I don't know, or carbon fiber, I would say G10. Maybe G10, yeah. I would have done zirconium for sure, but that's the only thing that I would have changed. That's it. Other than that, it's absolute perfection. Even the gap with the Mammoth, it's very difficult to get a good gap. It's not as pristine as it would be, you know, with other material than Mammoth, but it's really fair. I absolutely adore also the zirconium, this matte finish. You know, you can put the finger, which I do actually, and you have this matte and very dark. I mean, when it's matte, most of the time people don't get it as dark as that. It's going to be some grayish finish on the zirconium to get it matte. This is dark black. It's black as black can be, and you have this matte finish that is just absolutely perfect. And man, what a perfect association with the Mammoth, and also a perfect association with the blade. I mean, it's way more consistent and coherent to have that piece here of zirconium rather than having some crazy color here. Look how neat it is, how beautiful. I mean, I know that there's no accounting for taste, but boy, what can I say? I cannot think of anyone who wouldn't love this knife. It's insane. I mean, unreal for me. Yeah, the only thing that I would change also, and I've talked about that with David, is probably to have a smaller tab. It's squared, so that's fine, but he could make it, smaller than that, and it would work perfectly, and you wouldn't have here the extra length that you have here. But again, it's really well aligned with the choil here, so that works. I mean, that works. Again, I have to find something, because I'm French, because and perfection is not human, so I have to find something to say. Other than that, really, that's the closest thing to human perfection. Check that grind. I mean, that's Senmai. Let's talk about that. This is a freaking pain in the... I don't mean to be rude, that's why probably YouTube is blocking me, but that's a pain in the ass when you hear David speaking about that. That's why he doesn't want to work with that anymore. This part is extremely soft, so the layers are extremely soft, and this part is extremely hard. So that's really difficult to get. But man, what a beautiful finish. Check those lines here. I mean, the contrast that you have with that looking almost like a stone wash. I don't know. Here, the white line that makes the perfect junction with the hard part and the soft part. And check that. I mean, it's perfect. All the cutting length is the hard part on both sides. There is not, like in some Senmai, some softened part coming here, or the Damascus that you have most of the time that come on the hard part. This is absolutely, all the cutting length is gonna be the hard part. It's perfectly, this piece is just, check the core, how beautiful it is. And I have to say that this is a showpiece. I'm not going to use that knife for sure, but I was amazed, just cosmetically speaking. Just for the cosmetic of it, I wanted to have this piece of Mammoth, and for the scarcity also. First of all, the cosmetic. I have to like and to love something that I have in hand. And this is something that I adore, but the cosmetic of it is just fantastic. And that's the only reason I wanted to have that, actually. Perfect, absolutely. I mean, amazing. And you can also appreciate the grind. Most of the time, in order to really appreciate the grind, you have to get a satin. This is the way to appreciate more. The dramatic hollow that he puts, on his grind. But even with that Senmai, you can definitely appreciate that. Check that. Luckily, we have really nice quality now, which allows me to show you how beautiful that is. Oh man, the contrast of color. Check that, the black here, and with the shades of the color, you have even some darker gray, some lighter. It reflects with the light beautifully, absolutely beautifully. What can I say? Yeah, the pivot, I like it. I don't know. Oh, the action, man. How can I forget to speak about the action? Sublime. I mean, check the centering. Boom. You heard the detent? I mean, it's spot on. You can put a microscope there. It's going to be like on the zero part here. It's on bearings, and the tolerances are fair, not extremely well, but it's not my concern. Here, the action. Woo! Check disengagement. Rock solid, doesn't budge at all. Effortless to disengage, and it's smooth as butter. I mean, it's a pleasure to play with that knife. Smooth as they can come. Check that. Oh man, it's... love it. Absolutely adore it. And with that being said, my friend, we are now heading to the 15 minutes that that I don't want to go over. It's, yeah. I mean, I don't want to be a pain in the ass. You know what? After 15 minutes, I have to... I don't know if I explained that to you, but after 15 minutes, I have to download the video to the computer in order to post it on YouTube. No my friend. No, thank you. I'll keep it under 15 minutes and post it directly from the iPhone to your computer, my friend. Bye-bye. It was a tremendous pleasure to do that video. Catch you very soon for another one. Bye-bye.